we're going to focus on one of the two upper body movements, pushing movements. Now, pushing movements can be really easy to identify in many ways because all the exercises that fall under it, generally, we're pushing something away from our body, right? Just like in regular life, we push a door open, or maybe we have to push somebody away if we're playing a sport. These exercises focus on pushing our body away from something or pushing something away from our body. So the first exercise we're going to focus on is kind of one of the prime pushing exercises, which is the push-up. Now, the push-up is an exercise that lots of people either have no confidence in or have a little bit of overconfidence. So I'm going to give you a breakdown on how to do the push-up, ways to make it a bit more challenging, and definitely ways to make it a bit more manageable. And then we're going to move to some other pushing movements. So the push-up starting position is in the high push-up hold, or the high plank. So we take the balls of our feet and we dig them into the ground, making sure to pull our toes in towards our body. Our hands are under our shoulders, nice and in line, and even just a little bit out. From here, we want to make sure that we lock our knees, squeeze our glutes, and engage our abdominals. Keep them nice and tight. From here, I'm going to lower my body until my elbows are in line with my ribs, and then push up. Now, there's a particular shape we want to see from the bird's eye view. When we're doing a push-up, we don't want to look like an I. That means we're a straight line from head to toes, where our elbows are in close. We also don't want to look like a T. We want to look like an arrow. So there's a shape that we create like this with our arms. So I'm going to set up, nice and strong. Put your feet together if you want to make it a bit more manageable. Your feet can be a little bit wider, but it's good to just start right from here. Pull those toes in, dig those balls of our feet in, lock our knees, squeeze our glutes, engage our abdominals. We're going to lower, creating that arrow shape from bird's eye view until elbows are in line with ribs. And press up. So that's the push-up. There's a lot of other kind of finer points that we can get into, but that's as far as we're going to go with regards to the details of how to do the push-up. Now, ways to make it a bit more manageable. One way is simply by using elevation. Now, this could be a step, a stair in your house. Maybe it's a couch, maybe you have a bench. Whatever it is, make sure it's nice and solid. We're going to set up exactly the same way. Our hands are under our shoulders. If you want to know exactly how wide, a good kind of place for them to go is not exact right under our shoulders, but so that your thumbs are by your armpits. So it's just a little bit out past your shoulders, but nice and in line. So not below, not above. Straight line from head to heels, and from here, I'm going to lower still until my elbows are in line with my ribs. Push up. Lower, push up. One thing I want you to notice, for kind of a finer point, is that I don't let my shoulders creep up to my ears. So whether I'm on the ground or at the bench, when I lower, I keep my shoulders down. I don't let them creep up. And when I push, I keep my shoulders down. I don't let them creep up. Okay? To make a push-up a little bit more challenging, one thing we can do, well, there's lots. I can stack my feet to challenge the balance. I can make one hand go out a little bit further and have the other one in, working ourselves to what's called an archer push-up. Kind of like you're an archer shooting an arrow from here, which leads us to a one-arm push-up. Or what we can do is even put our feet up on elevation. And that's a lot more manageable than doing a one-arm push-up. But it definitely adds a challenge. From here, making sure we're straight from head to heels, lower. Just want to watch that back doesn't start sagging down. Those hips don't start sagging down. Okay, lots of things we can do with push-ups, but that's a really great starting point. The next exercise we're going to do is a chest press. Now this video is going to focus on body weight or band exercises because these are things that we can do at home if we don't have any equipment or we can afford at least a band. Now this is a loop band. You can do this with a tube that has handles as well. So I'm going to get the band under my armpits. I'm going to grab the band close to my chest. And all I'm going to do is set up just like I would a push-up. Hands almost in line with shoulders, thumbs by armpits. Create that arrow shape with my arms, not here, not here. And now I'm going to press out. And in. To make it more challenging, I can just grab, I can double up the bands. Double up the bands and get a little bit more resistance. So that's the chest press. Of course, you can do this with dumbbells and lie on a bench. Again, we're going to focus on band and body weight. I'm going to bring us back to the ground and do one more variation of the push-up called a plank up. Now this is kind of like mixing between one arm push-up, regular push-up, getting a little bit more movement. Push-ups in general get our core working a lot. This plank up for sure, you could throw this under the core exercise category as well. So from here, I'm going to lower onto my forearm, onto my other forearm, up, up. It's almost a half push-up that we do. And up. Okay? So it's not a full pushing exercise. It is a little bit more of a core exercise, but it's something you can mix in with your push-ups. For something completely different, we're going to go to dips. Now, dips are often done on a bench behind us. Some of us can handle this. Some of us have the shoulder range of motion mobility to do it. I don't. But people dip down and get their butt nice and low and then press up. I'm not going to do it. It's not good for my shoulders. But if you can, try to do this with two benches. And it's going to be a lot nicer to your shoulders. I'm going to show you how. We have two benches here. And now, we can put our shoulders in a much nicer position. Instead of having my hands all the way back here to do a dip, I can have them right beside my hips. And I can lower and press. You're going to know very quickly whether this exercise is appropriate for you. It's a very common pushing exercise, but for a lot of us, if you're like me, where your shoulders are a little bit funky, not the greatest exercise, but it is an option, so I want to show you that. The next exercise that I want to show you is one of the major pushing exercises, and it's a shoulder press. So with this, if you have a loop band, you put your foot in the middle of the loop, and you grab two ends, and you flip it over. So your palms are up, and the band is on your palms. If this was a band with handles, you would just have the handle in your hand, and then have the rest of the band behind, and you'd have it looped so that the other end would be right here. Okay? So from here, I'm going to hook my hands in front, flip it over. Imagine that it's almost like I've got a bar across my chest. I'm going to keep my core engaged, which we should be doing with every single one of these movements. Engage those abdominals, squeeze those glutes. And I'm going to press straight up. Back down, controlled, straight up. We want to avoid bringing our shoulders to our ears, so we keep those shoulders down the whole time. To make it tougher, I'm going to stick 2 feet in here. I'm not going to stretch the band, I'm just going to stick 2 feet so I get less band to press up. And down. And down. Okay? That's your shoulder press. The last exercise I'm going to show you, I'm giving it to you because it is involving some pushing muscles. This is more of an exercise you can just throw into a workout as a bonus little pump for your triceps. But you want to make sure you're having an exercise like a push-up or a chest press or a shoulder press in the workout as well if you include this. And this is going to be a tricep extension. So very simply, arms are up, making a T with your body. One hand stays fixed here, it doesn't move. Other hand's here, and we're just extending. Extending that arm out, tricep extension. Okay? Again, very little movement. This isn't a movement generally that we do all that much in life. So doing push-ups and shoulder presses get the same muscles working and are a little bit more functional or a little bit more useful. But this is fun to have at the end of a workout. Get a little extra pump with the tricep extension. And then you would do the other side. So these are a couple of pushing exercises that you can use in your workout. I didn't mention it in the beginning. I mentioned it a couple times throughout. We want to make sure that we're engaging our core the whole time, no matter what exercise we do. But with these pressing ones, make sure those ribs are pulled down, abdominals engaged. You're feeling that tension, squeezing those butt cheeks, right? Keeping this upper body from moving, from arching, from curving the whole time. Nice and solid on those push-ups, those presses, those shoulder presses. Those are your pushing exercises.